For centuries, the Roman Republic stood as a beacon of power and innovation, its legions forging an empire across the Mediterranean. Yet, by the 1st century BCE, this colossal edifice was crumbling from within. The very success of its expansion bred unprecedented wealth and corruption, exacerbating the chasm between the elite and the masses. Powerful generals commanding fiercely loyal armies began to prioritize personal ambition over the state, turning the Republic's instruments of war against itself. The traditional political structures, designed for a city-state, proved utterly incapable of governing a vast dominion, leading to an era defined by brutal civil wars, proscriptions, and a profound sense of instability. It was into this maelstrom that figures like Gaius Julius Caesar emerged. His audacious campaigns in Gaul, his unparalleled charisma, and his blatant disregard for republican norms ultimately shattered the old order. His fateful crossing of the Rubicon plunged Rome into civil war, culminating in his dictatorship and subsequent assassination on the Ides of March. Far from restoring the Republic, Caesar's death merely ignited another, even bloodier power struggle between his adopted heir Octavian and his formidable general, Mark Antony. The stage was set for a final, decisive confrontation that would forever alter the course of Roman history, transforming a fractured republic into a unified, albeit autocratic, empire. Following the decisive victory at Actium in 31 BCE, Octavian stood as the undisputed master of the Roman world. Yet, unlike his adoptive father, Julius Caesar, Octavian understood that overt dictatorship would only invite further bloodshed. With shrewd political genius, he carefully dismantled the instruments of civil war while appearing to restore the venerable institutions of the Republic. He relinquished his extraordinary powers, only to be incrementally granted new, constitutionally sanctioned authority by a grateful Senate, culminating in 27 BCE when he received the revered title of Augustus, the Exalted One. This subtle transition marked the formal birth of the Roman Empire, with Augustus as its first emperor, cloaked in the guise of first citizen, or princeps. Augustus's reign ushered in an unparalleled era of peace and prosperity known as the Pax Romana, or Roman peace, which would endure for over 2 centuries. He meticulously reformed the army, stabilized the frontiers, and revitalized Roman infrastructure from roads to aqueducts. His astute administration brought efficiency to tax collection, fostered economic growth, and invested heavily in public works, transforming Rome into a monumental capital. By carefully balancing military might with political subtlety, Augustus laid the enduring foundations for a vast and stable empire, forever shaping the trajectory of Western civilization. With Augustus's death in 14 CE, the question of succession, once a perilous trigger for civil war, was now managed, albeit imperfectly, within a dynastic framework. His stepson, Tiberius, inherited the immense responsibility, navigating the complexities of imperial power with a more reserved, often suspicious, temperament. The Julio-Claudian dynasty that followed produced a fascinating, often infamous cast of characters: the erratic and tyrannical Caligula, whose brief reign was marked by paranoia and extravagance; the scholarly but physically infirm Claudius, who nonetheless proved an effective administrator and initiated the conquest of Britain; and finally Nero, whose early promise dissolved into artistic obsession, political intrigue, and ultimately, a devastating civil war following his suicide in 68 CE. The year 69 CE, known as the Year of Four Emperors, highlighted the fragility of the new system when not guided by a clear successor, plunging Rome into another brief but intense period of internal conflict. From this chaos emerged Vespasian, a pragmatic and seasoned general who founded the Flavian dynasty. His reign and that of his sons Titus and Domitian brought much-needed stability. They focused on restoring the state's finances, rebuilding Rome after the Neronian fire, and constructing monumental works like the Colosseum. The Flavians consolidated imperial authority, effectively managing the vast empire and further integrating its provinces, demonstrating that effective governance could transcend the eccentricities of individual rulers and maintain the Pax Romana. Following the Flavian dynasty, Rome entered what many historians consider its golden age, a period of unparalleled stability, prosperity, and effective governance under a succession of rulers famously known as the Five Good Emperors: Nerva, Trajan, Hadrian, Antoninus Pius, and Marcus Aurelius. What set this era apart was the innovative adoption system. Emperors chose their successors based on merit and capability rather than bloodline, ensuring a continuous stream of competent leadership. Nerva, an elderly senator, began this tradition, choosing the highly respected General Trajan to follow him, a choice that proved immensely successful. Trajan, a Spaniard, presided over the empire's greatest territorial expansion, conquering Dacia and pushing Roman borders to their farthest extent. His successor, Hadrian, a keen administrator and architect, recognized the challenges of overextension and focused instead on consolidating the empire, famously building Hadrian's Wall in Britannia and strengthening borders. Antoninus Pius enjoyed a largely peaceful and prosperous reign, while Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, embodied Stoic ideals, governing with wisdom and justice, even as he faced renewed barbarian incursions and the devastating Antonine Plague. This succession of remarkable leaders ensured 2 centuries of relative peace, economic flourishing, and monumental achievements, cementing Rome's position as the dominant power of the ancient world. The serene stability of the Pax Romana tragically fractured after the reign of Marcus Aurelius. His son, Commodus, broke the tradition of adopted succession, ushering in an era of instability and personal indulgence that quickly devolved into chaos. The 3rd century CE became a dark period for Rome, often referred to as the crisis of the 3rd century. The empire was plunged into an almost continuous state of civil war, with legions proclaiming their generals as emperors, only for them to be swiftly overthrown by rivals. In just 50 years, from 235 to 284 CE, there were over 24 legitimate emperors, most meeting violent ends, alongside numerous usurpers. This relentless internal strife severely weakened the empire's ability to defend its vast frontiers. Barbarian tribes, sensing Rome's vulnerability, launched increasingly bold and devastating raids from all directions: Goths in the east, Alemanni in the north, and Franks along the Rhine. Compounding these military and political disasters was a severe economic collapse, marked by rampant inflation as emperors debased coinage to pay their armies, and a devastating series of plagues, including the plague of Cyprian, which decimated the population. The Roman Empire, once an unassailable superpower, seemed on the verge of total disintegration, fragmented into breakaway empires and barely clinging to its existence. Just when it seemed the Roman Empire was destined for oblivion, a formidable figure emerged to pull it back from the brink: Diocletian. Rising from humble origins to become emperor in 284 CE, Diocletian was a stern, pragmatic military leader who recognized that the empire's vastness and the severity of its problems demanded radical, systemic change. His vision was not to restore the old republic, but to fundamentally restructure the imperial administration, acknowledging that one man could no longer effectively govern such an expansive and threatened dominion. Diocletian's most revolutionary reform was the establishment of the tetrarchy, or rule of 4. He divided the empire into eastern and western halves, each governed by an Augustus, senior emperor, and assisted by a Caesar, junior emperor. This system aimed to provide more immediate defense of the sprawling frontiers, ensure a smoother succession, and decentralize administrative burdens. Beyond the tetrarchy, Diocletian implemented sweeping economic reforms to combat inflation, stabilize the currency, reorganize the army, and reformed the provincial administration, creating smaller, more manageable units. Though authoritarian and often brutal, Diocletian's decisive actions and comprehensive reforms temporarily stabilized the empire, buying it crucial time and laying the groundwork for its continued, albeit altered, existence. Diocletian's tetrarchy, while ingenious, ultimately proved fragile. After his abdication, a new power struggle erupted, culminating in the rise of Constantine the Great. His pivotal victory at the Battle of Milvian Bridge in 312 CE, fought under the sign of the Christian cross, marked a profound turning point. Legend holds that he saw a vision before the battle, leading to his conversion to Christianity, a faith that had endured centuries of persecution. In 313 CE, Constantine issued the Edict of Milan, granting religious tolerance throughout the empire, effectively ending the persecution of Christians and paving the way for Christianity to become the dominant religion of the Roman world. Constantine's influence extended far beyond religious policy. Recognizing the strategic importance of the East and perhaps wary of Rome's pagan traditions, he decided to establish a new imperial capital. In 330 CE, he officially dedicated Nova Roma, New Rome, at the ancient Greek city of Byzantium, which was soon renamed Constantinople, City of Constantine. This monumental decision fundamentally shifted the empire's center of gravity eastward. With its formidable defenses, strategic location, and Christian identity, Constantinople would become the heart of the Eastern Roman, or Byzantine, Empire, ensuring the survival of Roman imperial traditions for another 1,000 years, even as the West faced its ultimate decline. Despite Constantine's efforts, the Western Roman Empire continued its slow, agonizing decline. The fundamental problems that Diocletian had tried to address persisted: economic instability, overstretched frontiers, political corruption, and a shrinking tax base. Crucially, the empire faced unprecedented migratory pressures from Germanic tribes, themselves pushed westward by the formidable Huns from the east. The Roman army, increasingly reliant on barbarian mercenaries, struggled to defend its vast borders against a relentless tide of Goths, Vandals, Franks, and other groups. The year 410 CE marked a psychological turning point when the Visigoths, led by Alaric, sacked the city of Rome itself, an event that sent shockwaves across the Roman world. Though the city recovered, the symbolic blow was immense. Subsequent decades saw further invasions, the loss of rich provinces like North Africa to the Vandals, and the increasing impotence of Western emperors, who often ruled as puppets of powerful barbarian generals. The final symbolic blow came in 476 CE, when the Germanic chieftain Odoacer deposed the last Western Roman emperor, Romulus Augustulus. Though the Eastern Empire continued, the deposition of this boy emperor effectively marked the end of direct Roman rule in the West, concluding over a millennium of Roman political independence and ushering in the early Middle Ages in Europe. While the Western Roman Empire succumbed to internal decay and barbarian invasions, its eastern counterpart, centered in the magnificent city of Constantinople, not only endured but thrived for another 1,000 years. This continuation of the Roman state, known today as the Byzantine Empire, consciously preserved Roman law, administration, and imperial traditions, albeit with a distinctly Hellenistic and Christian character. Its strategic location at the crossroads of Europe and Asia granted it immense economic and military advantages, allowing it to withstand the very pressures that had shattered the West. From the formidable walls of Constantinople, Byzantine emperors like Justinian, the great codified Roman law, into the enduring corpus juris civilis asterisk, a legal masterpiece that profoundly influenced future European legal systems. They championed Orthodox Christianity, created stunning artistic and architectural marvels like the Hagia Sophia, and maintained a sophisticated bureaucracy and a powerful army. Though it faced its own struggles, including Persian wars, the rise of Islam, and Crusader incursions, the Byzantine Empire remained a bulwark of civilization, a beacon of learning, and a crucial link between the classical world and the Renaissance. It served as a vital bridge, transmitting Roman and Greek knowledge, art, and culture until its final fall to the Ottoman Turks in 1453, long after Rome itself had faded into memory. The story of the Roman Empire, from its republican origins to its imperial zenith and eventual division, is a testament to both human ambition and the inherent fragility of even the greatest powers. Yet, its physical collapse in the West did not erase its profound and lasting impact. Rome's contributions to Western civilization are immeasurable, serving as the bedrock upon which much of our modern world is built. Its sophisticated legal system, codified and refined, forms the basis for civil law in countless nations today, emphasizing concepts like justice, property rights, and due process. Latin, the language of Rome, evolved into the Romance languages, Italian, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and Romanian, and heavily influenced English vocabulary, embedding Roman thought into our very words. Beyond language and law, Rome's engineering prowess remains awe-inspiring, with its aqueducts, roads, bridges, and monumental architecture still standing as testaments to its ingenuity. Its innovations in urban planning, public sanitation, and administrative organization provided blueprints for future societies. Furthermore, Roman political thought, with its debates on citizenship, governance, and the balance of power, continues to inform our understanding of statecraft and civil society. The echoes of Rome resonate in our courthouses, our languages, our infrastructure, and our political ideals, ensuring that the legacy of this extraordinary empire truly is immortal, a constant reminder of what humanity can achieve and what it risks losing.